does that feel?
It feels very 2020, man. It feels very 2020.
Roll the ad. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.
Your daily drop on gaming, live streaming, and social media today is YouTube is not a real job. Anyone who's a creator has ultimately had this thrown in their face multiple times. It's just playing video games and talking, right? Sure, we're gonna drop some knowledge on the haters and break it down how much time YouTubers and live streamers actually have to dedicate to their craft. Mr. Wall, Mr. Perrin, it's just turning on mic and talking, right? Like that's all creators have to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a mic and I'm talking right now, so end of story. I'm doing great. So yeah, that's the entire job. Now, I mean, I know so many of you guys have experienced out there, and you know, a lot of people are electing right now when there's not a lot of jobs, when things like college debt can really rack up. They're looking at, you know, internet hustle as being a way to make a living, or at least a way to kick off their career, especially if they're young and they have time on their hands. And I encourage that massively right now, because the opportunity's never been bigger to make a living on the internet than it is right now. But traditional knowledge will tell you that you should go get a real job, and that you should work a 9 to 5, and that you should do something that's more solid. But as we're seeing right now with coronavirus, you know, the real jobs out there aren't that solid, and you could lose your job at any moment. Tens of millions of people just went unemployed who have real jobs, and now they've all migrated to, or many of them have migrated and are trying to figure out all of a sudden how to be an online creator, how to do video conferencing, how to build an online business, and they're trying now to survive, to learn the skills that all of you guys know as YouTubers already. And so their real job went away, and now this fake job, this fake career that all of you guys were working on, that, you know, was laughed at before, now all of these are the most valuable skills. And so I think this is a really interesting moment in history, and I think we've been accelerated by about 5 years, in my opinion, with people taking YouTubing, live streaming, being a social media influencer, and building online businesses more seriously, because tens of millions of people have had to do it just to survive. Perrin?
Yeah, I always take this to like the philosophical angle, because I've run into this in my real life when people ask me what I do, and I say I create content online or I help content creators, or especially if I say I play video games online and make money or something like that, they kind of shake their heads and they're like, and I can tell they think, well, that's not a real job. And the second line of thought that normally goes unspoken out loud is it doesn't contribute anything meaningful to society. And I think this is a boomer perspective. They look at it and
boomers.
It's not tangible. It happens online, and it's not like doing something real or good, quote unquote, and which totally misses the point of being a creator, period, from the get-go. So it comes from kind of an antiquated perspective that doesn't quite understand online culture, online trends, and community building that happens online, which is essentially the main benefit of this type of thing. It's not just entertainment. There's a lot of community building that goes on. There's a lot of social connection that goes on, and that's important. And we're finding that right now. I think COVID-19 has specifically pointed that out in a period of time where most of us are isolated because we have to be for our own safety. We're lucky that we have this system, that we have creators who can help connect us to communities so we can still get some form of socialization, some form of community, and have some form of friendship, even though we might not be able to see each other face to face as much. And it might not be the same, but it's better than nothing at all. It's better than complete isolation. So it does provide value. I do think it's just an uneducated perspective that happens with this type of thing. I think for most of us growing up with the internet now, for the younger generations, they get this completely. They just understand it intrinsically, having grown up and being kind of entrenched in it from the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another thing that is kind of standing out for me here is the transition that people are needing to make right now with their physical real jobs to online, and their struggle. And it's going to take them a couple years to do it. For example, I coach a yoga teacher who had a very real job as a full-time yoga instructor. You know, if you said, I'm a yoga instructor, nobody would go, you're fake news. You're a fake job. That's a real full-time job at a real studio that pays you a real salary whenever you go there and teach, right? Well, now they have to do it remotely, and now they have to do it digitally. And now in order to get business, they have to run a YouTube channel. In order to facilitate classes, they have to do live streams. And in order to keep their customers coming back, they have to do a full-blown social media strategy. That's just one example. Another example is I've got a college professor contacting me for coaching who is looking to connect with the students that are remote right now, or even the students outside of the classroom on a deeper level. He's over, I think it's at like Santa Monica University or something in California. And so he needs help recording in OBS. He needs help live streaming. He needs help video editing. And all of these skills that you guys have as YouTubers right now, folks with very legitimate professions like professors, they wish they knew the knowledge and skills that you have. They were the people that are a part of the old world, that are a part of the old school real job hierarchy where you go to college, you literally learn from the professor, and then you go get a job. Now they need to learn from you. And so I think this is a validating moment for YouTubers, creators, and streamers that kind of shows you that you were way ahead of the curve. And unfortunately, the curve was accelerated by this virus. But Ross, I know one of the reasons why you want to talk about, go ahead, Ross. I know one of the reasons you want to talk about this was time commitment, right?
Yeah, I was going to completely agree with you on that. COVID, and kind of just adding on to what Perrin said, COVID has 100% legitimized content creation and live streaming as a real job. And if anyone has a problem with that, chances are they're just reflecting because they have a job that they don't enjoy. That would be one main argument. But yeah, I wanted to touch on how much time actually goes into being a content creator or a live streamer, so people can actually see that, you know, this isn't just going and playing video games. This isn't just turning on a mic and talking to people and saying hi. This is a real job. That's the easiest part of the job, is actually doing and making the content, but it's also the smallest portion of the job. So I figured we could do something like kind of break down a daily, like how much time daily a professional content creator or live streamer actually has to dedicate to their craft, so that people can see, oh, wow, okay, I thought this was just like an hour-long thing that you got to do, but no, it's a legitimately full-time job. So let's start with this. In the day of a live streamer, let's just pull it up. Let's bring back Chad. Let's bring back Chad for this one. Let's say that Chad is he got up, he has formulated an idea of what he wants to do with his stream today. So the actual planning, let's start there. How much time do you guys, when you guys are putting together a live streaming event, how much time do you actually dedicate to planning?
For a live stream, I mean, for YouTube videos, I always think of it like a 3-to-1 ratio, like three times the amount planning preparation for the 1 time amount actually publishing the content. For live stream, it can probably be a little bit less. It should be as much though, because the more time you put into pre-planning, the more successful your live stream is going to be. But you can kind of maybe reuse that formula over and over and over again to a certain point. So you can kind of recycle old stuff. So I guess short answer to your question is at least spend double the amount of time in prep than you would on the actual thing itself.
Right. Because with prep, you're talking about, you not only have to create the metadata, you don't have to establish the idea of what your theme is going to be for that particular day, if you even have one. So, I mean, so that right there, and creating the thumbnail, of course, which is also another huge part of it. So that right there is not only, that's before you ever even log on to stream. And now you have to take the average time of an actual live streaming, whether it's gaming, talking, whatever it may be. So do you think, what is that, average of 2-3 hours per stream?
Yeah, I would say at least, because even if you're going to include all the thought that you put into it, you're going to include the title, you're going to include the metadata, the thumbnail, any sort of additional like extra stream things you're going to do, the additional setups required for it, at least 2 hours per stream. Now, if I do like 2 streams in one day, I can kind of use the same 2 hours to prep both streams. But right. I think what's more maybe relatable and what's maybe a little bit different is publishing a lot of video content on YouTube. Hey, well, you've produced probably more videos than most creators. How much time in your wealth of experience do you take to produce one video? How much prep time does it require?
Yeah. So I've done about 1,000 myself. And then like with teams that I've managed, have done maybe 7,000 or 8,000 more. So generally speaking, like you guys are saying, the more time you put into preparation, research, creating the thumbnail, everything, all the pre-production before your video releases, it's more likely that your video will be successful after that. And so 3-to-1 is maybe the minimum ratio, 3 times the amount of pre-production versus production and post-production is a decent ratio. Let's say you make your standard 10-minute YouTube video where you research a subject, then you record the video and all the footage, then you do the editing, and then you release it. So maybe the top 10 XYZ, or here's your news from the week on such and such, right? Those are very common in video formats. To make one video like that, it's a minimum of about 4 to 5 hours to make a video like that. And depending on how in-depth that video is, you could go up to 7 or 8 hours through the process. And so you're probably looking at least 2 hours of research. You're probably looking at least an hour or 2 of script writing or jotting down your notes and your thoughts. You're looking at least an hour of thumbnail creation and metadata, about an hour to record all the content, maybe 2 hours to record itself, and then 1 final hour to do the final release of the video, checking your video description, doing all the cards, etc. So you're looking at like an entire day to do one good edited 10-minute news-ish, top 10-ish kind of video as a standard. And let's talk about live streaming for a moment, because I think one thing that a lot of people think is you just fire up the stream and your success happens. So really successful streamers, the ones that are really breaking out and innovating, I like to use Dr. Disrespect as an example. When you're planning a collaboration with someone, it takes hours to coordinate with that other person and to talk about what you're going to do next and to agree on the time and to do the scheduling and to do blah, blah, blah. It takes hours, actually, to just get somebody to play with you and to agree on what the game is and when you're going to be playing. So that on its own, like people are like, oh, it must be easy just to bring your boy into Discord and play. Maybe actually after you've done that a dozen times with them, but even people you're really familiar with, you're looking to do a collab with and play with, it can be difficult and time consuming to bring them in and to collab with them. I know this might sound ridiculous, but collaborations, it's not just the time it is required to make the content with another creator, like with you if you're a streamer or a YouTuber, but it's also the relationship building, the shooting the shit, the chatting with them about games, and all of a sudden, all of that is a work investment time to get the relationship up to where it needs to be, to where both of you guys can be on screen playing with each other. So for example, when Dr. Disrespect collabed with PewDiePie and they both played Fall Guys on YouTube, and it was like the biggest streams on YouTube a couple weeks ago, I imagine that PewDiePie and his team and Dr. Disrespect and his team, they probably all, in pre-production, invested about, on Dr. Disrespect's side, about 10 to 14 hours, man hours, into coordinating that. And on PewDiePie's side, maybe 5 to 10, just to coordinate, just for them to play a damn video game together. And so that's just the reality of the situation. And so a lot of people that look in and think you're just hitting the red button and going live don't understand what's actually required to do the production. And these are the types of people that are losing their jobs right now. And then all of a sudden they're at home with their old, 2014 HP laptop. And they're like, well, I can live stream now. And then they start Googling and they're like, uh-oh, this is going to require a little bit of work.
So
and then a lot of times they actually back out after that. You made a really good point there, because I think about how much time it takes to coordinate just playing video games for fun with somebody else, let alone trying to put like a professional stream and everything together. So that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Parrot, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
No, you're good. So we've been talking about just the content angle. There's so much more to being a content creator than just the content and all the pre-planning and everything that has to do with it. All that stuff is actually a small portion of when you have to maintain comments on all of your avenues. You have to have social presence across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, like most of the different main social media platforms. And you should ideally have content there regularly too. Like once you become a content creator, you can work just on YouTube, yeah, but that's not going to last forever. The expectation is you have to produce content almost everywhere, and you have to produce content and engage everywhere regularly. That's the expectation. It's actually a more demanding job than most other jobs, I would say, because I can't think of many of the jobs outside of being maybe like a Hollywood star or something like that, where it's demanding from you of your personal life in that capacity all of the time. Everybody wants to connect with you they want to talk to you on Twitter. They want to be able to talk to you on Instagram. They expect you to reply back. You have to respond to your DMs. You have to respond to your messages on Facebook. All of these, you have to be responsive to email. We're not even putting email in there too. And that's another spot as well. So you have this level of communication that is expected for you to uphold, because you need to be engaged in order to be successful. That's a huge component that is outside of the content creation sphere, outside of you even just live streaming normally. So that's something that I feel like content creators never get enough time to actually complete and do well until you can like hire additional staff. So I'm not there yet, clearly. And I don't doubt I would ever get there personally unless I have actual help to get there, because that's how demanding and that's what the expectation is for this type of career. So it is very much a career, more so maybe than others.
Yeah, and I think even more so than others, because let's take a look at the people who also, the same ones that are saying, oh, this isn't a real job and everything like that. We've already established that you're probably going to be putting in more than a full-time amount of work per week. You're probably going to be putting in more than 40 hours if you want to have a really good chance of succeeding at that. And even then, the chance is slow. So let's take a look at why. Well, actually, let me take a step back there. The amount of time that goes into that, it's different from a normal job because you have to manage your own time. You don't have a manager telling you have a set time that you have to be at work every single day. You have to get exactly these exact things done. You have to manage your own time. And when you're already working a full-time job, because trust me, when you're just starting out as a live streamer or a YouTuber or a content creator, you're not making any money. This is a long-term play for your life, for your goals and dreams. However, when you're working another 40-hour job on top of that, it becomes very difficult. You have to be very disciplined to actually stay motivated and not get burnt out, which is a whole nother side to being a content creator or live streamer that many people, just because they're not used to that setup, they're not used to living that kind of life where they have to manage their own professional environment. I think it makes it much more difficult. And I think it adds another level of why this is actually more of a real job than a lot of other jobs.
That's true. In the back office thing that we were talking about a moment ago, wow, the sun is really coming in through my window. Woo, looks good, huh? So the other part that we were talking about, the back office part, I mean, expect 2 to 4 hours minimum back office per day as a full-time content creator, doing the things you're talking about, working with your lawyer, working with your accountant, working with your editors, responding to emails, and just doing your job. And even if you hire a manager, you still have to manage your manager. Even if you hire a channel manager, you still have to manage your channel manager. And so no matter what, it's an inescapable handful of hours per day where you're not making content, you're not getting it out the door, but you have to do this sort of back office work. And one thing that was really clear to me in terms of how much time it takes to get something off the ground is your story, Ross, about VGF gamers and how you would wake up. I'll let you say it in your own words, but you would be up at 3 a.m. at night to get that, to get that Twitter. Why don't you tell people how much work it took to get that giant social media brand off the ground and how much effort you put in? Because I think a lot of people think they can just kind of tweet on the side or make a video here and there to get something big off the ground. You tell them how much work it actually took.
It took a lot of not sleeping. Luckily, I was young and I could afford to lose the amount of sleep, but I don't recommend it to anyone. This was in the old Wild West of social media when you couldn't schedule posts. There was no Buffer. There was no, what's the other one? Twuffer or Hootsuite. No, you actually had to go in and live.
I've never heard of Twuffer. Did you just make that up?
Twuffer is a tweet schedule from back like 10 years ago.
It sounds like something from Dr. Seuss.
It may be.
Let there be buffers. Let there be twaffers. So how much time did you put in? I mean, you told me stories about like you're up at 3 a.m. tweeting and stuff. Like it was insane.
Yeah, you have to if you're gonna, because like I said, you can't schedule it out, so you can't just sit down in one go. You literally have to put in the time to actually go live on the account, just pulling up your phone and then actually tweeting. So on an average day, I'm putting 10 to 12 hours. This was back then. I was putting 10 to 12 hours easily into just growing a social media account, which, by the way, I never made any money off of because that's not a legitimate strategy when you're doing this from social media. So yeah, you're looking at 10, 12 hours a day, but it's spread out. So you're going to get burnt out easy because like you said, I was up at 3 a.m. I was up every 2 hours. I had an alarm set on my phone. I was up every 2 hours posting throughout the night just to kind of accumulate more traction and hit new audiences. So yeah, I mean, that's as a content creator before ever profiting 10 to 12 hours a day easily.
One thing I'd like to address is the real value to society thing. That's one thing that, obviously you're not whittling chairs from a giant tree with your bare hands when you're making YouTube videos, and, the value isn't apparent to a lot of people. But I can tell you that, let's talk about the real world here and the value that content provides. So when you're stressed out at the end of the day, what do? You go watch shows. You go watch people's Instagram stories. You go watch videos on YouTube. You watch live streams, and it makes you feel better about your shitty life. And so there's value there. Whenever you're trying to solve a problem, you don't know how to tie a bow tie. What do? You go to YouTube and a YouTube video is there to help you with that problem. You don't know how to change your oil. You're trying to figure out how to do that yourself. What do? You Google it, and a creator made a tutorial on how to change your oil. You don't know which service you should use to do basic things in your life like your taxes. Okay, you go to YouTube, you type that into search, and people tell you what services you should use to do your taxes or give you advice on how to do. So like content creators help you solve real world problems as simple as tying a bow tie, up to how to do your taxes, up to how to be a better parent to your children. So like, don't give me that shit about how this content isn't helping people in their lives. It's helping them get through their day and making them happier. It's teaching them practical things and also high level, really important things that they need to know for their life. And people that are creating content out there are doing it because they want to help other people. So don't give me that crap about how it's not a value to society. Like, come on. A lot of things that are considered real jobs don't provide that much value to society right now. People that work for, these big hedge funds and what have you, for example, you'd say, hey, you're making a lot of money on Wall Street. Guess what value your job provides to society? Making money. And that's it, right? Whereas a creator who's actually helping people learn something is providing a lot more value than some $1 million salary on Wall Street. So don't give me that crap. Anybody who's saying that just doesn't.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Because so there's two also extra things. And it depends on what you think of marketing. But marketing makes the world go around, in my opinion. And all creators are marketers. Any company that has a product that wants to market it to a certain audience, they go to creators now. And also charities. Especially gaming live streamers and gaming creators are extra good about regularly doing events for charities. So much so, in fact, that charities will actually go to Twitch and to gaming creators and pay them to do charities because the effects are so good and they're so good about charity. So philanthropy is also big in the creator community, and it's pretty much always been that way, and something that even smaller creators get in on and do event-wise. So it helps you learn daily tasks. It helps you market products. It helps donate to great causes. Like, what doesn't the career actually do? And tell me another average desk job career out there that does as much as that. I think you'd be hard pressed to find one.
Ross Dillon, get us the hell out of here.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, we don't want to hear this crap again about YouTube and live streaming content creation. Isn't a real job. That was the point of this episode.
Y'all can shut up with that.
Exposed how real this really is. What's up?
Said anybody who says that can shut up. Get us out of here, Ross.
That was your daily drop. Full replays available on YouTube. If you want to go watch again, subscribe to the audio version. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are available. We will be back tomorrow. Happy creating.
Bonus segment. Oh, hi guys. Here I am in my not real job area. Good to see you. Did you know that we stream on every platform at the same time using restream.io? I bet you didn't know that. We're live right now on Twitch, DLive, Facebook, Trovo, Periscope, and YouTube. And look how fake I am doing my job at home. If you guys want to be restreaming on multiple platforms at the same time to expand your audience at maximum speeds, use the link in the description and our bio to check out restream.io. We get credit for the kill when you download and install. You get $10 off your first month, and you get 25% off if you use our special code, DROP25, DROP25 with no space. That's DROP25 with no space, DROP25 to get 25% off restream.io. If you're streaming, there's no reason not to use